Hello, this is Margaret Jordan, and this is the Murder of Sandra Jackson podcast. Sandra Jackson was an independently wealthy woman who was worth approximately $2.5 million. Her job was a personal nutritionist and fitness expert. Her husband was Chris, and she did not share any financial information with him due to their strains in marriage, and only her parents had access to her financial information. She was married to Chris for about 2 years, and they had a black cat named Midnight.
Hi, my name is Izzy Powell, and next I will be speaking on Sandra's husband, Chris. Chris claimed that his marriage with Sandra was extremely stable, contrary to differentiating opinions. He struggled with a lot of money and lost his business, while he also assumed that he was the sole beneficiary to Sandra's life insurance policy. Simultaneously, he owns a Xeriscape business with his brother Eric, and then when his car was towed, after days of being parked overnight, he claimed his truck was used for business and that he left it with Eric when he went to Aruba.
Hi, this is Arturo Ayers, and this next suspect will be Tiffany Flores, the dog walker. She was a pet sitter while the Jacksons were in Aruba, and there were a lot of accusations that claimed that she was having an affair, and she claimed that she was not having an affair with Chris Jackson, Sandra's husband. She actually went to Miss Sandra's house and offered to watch their cat while she was recovering from her foot injury, and Sandra declined that same day. Later to know that she was a triathlete and was a recent fan of altitude running and was planning on running the Angeles National Forest and would like to train 2 times a week, and was also a swimmer.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm here to provide some more context based on accounts from others involved in this case. So, Sandra was in the process of leaving Chris for his history of repeated physical violence and serial cheating. She actually left twice before for the same reasons, but this instance added a new safety risk. One of the women was stalking her and had threatened to kill her. The only info Sandra shared about her was that she was a dog walker. Now, on a night about 2 weeks before her death, one neighbor witnessed Sandra in a fight with an unidentified woman who was only known to have a large dog in her car at the time. And another reported that Tiffany Flores ran into his car and left immediately after, claiming she wasn't stressed about damage and she had to go.
This is the proper timeline noted in the Sandra Jackson murder case. Sometime in April, not specified, Sandra potentially had a foot injury and declined for Tiffany to offer a pet sit for free. Sandra had told her mom that she was leaving Chris, going back to live with her in May. Tiffany pet sat while Sandra and Chris were in Aruba. Approximately 2 weeks before her death, around April 19th, Sam reported that he had hit his car blocking his driveway. He hit Tiffany Flores' car. She said she was in a hurry and the damage was minor, and she had sped off. Eleanor reports that she saw Sandra having a verbal altercation with a woman in a white BMW near the end of the driveway. She had noted the sunglasses had a large dog bite in the back seat. On April 19th at 9 p.m., Sandra changed the beneficiary from Chris to Mom on all her policies.
On April 21st at 8:12 p.m., Sandra and Jeremy were reconciling. This is where she told Jeremy that Chris was abusing her for money. Around April 26th, Sandra and Chris fly to Aruba, and a few days later, on May 1st, Sandra returned home from vacation earlier than Chris for a famous client.
On May 3rd at 9:45 p.m., Chris comes home and he takes a shower immediately. Then at 10 p.m., there's sirens heard heading to the beach. The neighbor notes that their dog barked incessantly the whole time. At 10:34 p.m., Sandra's mother calls the house, but then she hung up because the machine declined the call. At 11:01, cops received calls from Rocky Point Road that claimed teens were yelling. At 11:45 p.m., cops came to the beach, they saw the teens yelling for help, and Sandra was pronounced dead. On May 4th, the housekeeper, Maria, comes home. On May 5th, Chris's vehicle was towed and impounded for being parked overnight several nights in a row. Sandra was pronounced dead very close to the coordinates the car was found at.